license in the city of New Orleans is set to expire, opening the door for a potential move. Richelieu Dennis is founder and chair of Essence Parent Sundial and talked to Bloomberg about what's important to him when he thinks about the future of the event and whether he expects to re-up with New Orleans.
Our community deserves what it is that we bring to market. And New Orleans has been a partner for 32 years. They've been a good partner for 32 years. While we've seen investments shrink, right? We certainly expect that we will be able to come to terms and continue what we're doing.
Rising operational costs is one sticking point in crafting a new deal. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Now at Lowe's, faster quotes start at the Lowe's Pro Desk. Got a material list handwritten on a sticky note or saved as a photo? Perfect. Bring it to us and get a quote in minutes. And if you don't see what you need on the shelf, we'll help you get it. You can access thousands of products beyond what's available in-store or on Lowe's.com, right from the Lowe's Pro Desk. Build quotes faster and source the materials you need to keep your jobs moving. Just like that, at Lowe's.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269 DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha.
Steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh, the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Wednesday, August 12th, 2026. This is the day that we knew would come, and we knew that we would have a conversation about what has transpired over, we can say, the most unusual, the most unorthodox, and the most unpredictable Democratic primary race for governor that we have ever seen. There's a lot to unpack here, but first and foremost, congratulations to Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, who pulled off an improbable victory last night. I want to delve into the details of that improbable victory because when you look at the numbers and you look at the countywide data, all of which is starting to roll in pretty accurately now, even though there were some snafus with the city of Milwaukee, which we must talk about. A little bit of a human error, they said, at the central count, which is what we were all waiting for. I couldn't wait anymore. I had to go to sleep. Dr. Ken and I did a broadcast on the Hughes Views 414 YouTube channel. So we're just going to do an hour. Maybe we'll do 2, 4.5 hours of broadcasting. And by the time we both finally signed off, we still did not have a winner. As I'm looking up at my monitors in studio, it looks like Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley is accepting the Democratic nomination at a speech he is giving live and in real time at the Sherwin Phoenix. So maybe at some point we'll bring you details of that speech or we'll play it for you another time. But there's some things to take into account here. So first and foremost, the county executive is no stranger to winning close races. If you can recall, he was elected Milwaukee County executive in 2020. And guess who he ran against? Another hardcore, far-left liberal progressive in State Senator Chris Larson. It also should be noted that Wisconsin State Senator Chris Larson was an unabashed supporter of Francesca Hong, and he made that abundantly clear in a number of Facebook videos and online posts that he spread throughout this entire election cycle, giving his support to Francesca Hong at the same time bashing the establishment. So when County Executive Crowley got elected in 2020, he beat Chris Larson by less than 1,100 votes. And there were about 190,000 votes cast. So that was a very small victory as well. But the person that he ran against and the political sentiments of who County Executive Crowley ran against in 2020 versus who he ran against just last night, their ideologies were the same. Now, I guess I could go into some long, detailed soliloquy patting the establishment on its back because at the end of the day, the candidate that was labeled establishment, the candidate that was labeled too centrist and too moderate and not liberal enough is the one that ultimately was victorious. There's a lot more detail than just that. And this is not one that is really easy to comprehend if you look at all of the polling. And so the Marquette University Law School, let me be real clear about this, should never be allowed to release another poll again because there's something that I suspect in how they do their polling. They dramatically under-index the African-American vote. It is the almost exact ward-by-ward coalition that got David Crowley elected to the county executive position in 2020, that exact same, I've got the heat maps. It is almost the exact same blueprint of the same voters that supported him last night. But there's a huge difference that we are not accounting for, and I've got a bunch of details on it. Kelda Roy's staying in the race completely evaporated Francesca Hong's possibility of winning. Without Kelda being in the race, Francesca Hong not only wins, she wins by a comfortable margin of probably 25 or 30,000 votes. And I got all the details on that. Oh, Fran, she should be very mad at Kelda. Kelda never had a pathway to victory. She did not. There was no calculation. There was no political path. There was no amount of money that she could have spent. Kelda has become a very familiar political commodity, which is not necessarily bad, but when your brand of political commodity is that of ambition, Wisconsin voters don't like that. When you polled Kelda Roy's supporters, and they're a hearty bunch, it ain't that many of them, but it's enough of them, and you ask them who their second choice is, better than a third, actually 34%, of Kelda's supporters say that Francesca Hong is their second choice. If you ask them who their third choice is, of course, it's going to be David Crowley, but it's kind of a distant third. Kelda Roy's and Francesca Hong represent the exact same constituents and the same geography in Madison and in Dane County. Kelda remaining in this race and taking 60,000 votes in this statewide contest was just enough to weaken Francesca Hong's coalition. And so we're going to give you some details of that. We got a YouTube poll question up for you. Just curious. Do you think that the Hong campaign will request a recount of these ballots? Now, if it was within 0.25%, the state of Wisconsin would pay for that recount. But because it is just over there, we're looking at about 4.4% is what the margin of victory is. Somewhere's around 3,000 votes. I got the exact number somewhere in many of my open tabs here on my computer. Because there were some irregularities at central count. That's why it took so damn long. That's a problem because the election that we are going to have, so the next one, we're on our way to November 3rd. There can't be any election irregularities. First of all, this was a lower turnout election, a little bit higher than we suspected, but still probably less than 30%. So that's par for the course. And if the city of Milwaukee, for whatever the reason of this quote unquote human error, whatever the cause of that is, the human errors may be compounded when you have, 3, maybe 4, potentially 5 times the number of voters. Here's why this is significant and why Francesca Hong would be well within her right to request this recount. I don't know if it's going to change the result, but if there are errors in how we record votes and how we report numbers and the digital transfer of voting information from the voting machines to the central count, if there's something that needs to be ironed out and fixed prior to November 3rd, we got to get it done. Let me tell you why. Tom Tiffany is an election denier, regardless of what the result is going to be come November 3rd. And I think that we're all hoping for the same result. There's going to be skepticism of those election results. So if there's going to be skepticism in election results, let's have all of that figured out and sorted out so we can get both sides, both Democrats and Republicans and liberals and progressives and moderates and independents and centrists, believing in and trusting our system of how we count these damn ballots. The poll that stirred me the most was the internal poll that was conducted by the Crowley campaign. When you do an internal poll, you are asking real specific questions of voters like, well, if Francesca drops out, then who are you going to vote for? Well, if David supports a moratorium on data centers, are you more likely to support him? Internal polls are about as leading and favoring of the candidate and the campaign that is doing that internal poll than anything else. He was even losing in their own internal polls. He had never polled better than 32 or 33% on polls that his campaign, the Crowley campaign, paid for, that essentially lead people into supporting David Crowley. So when I saw that poll, I was like, it's very consistent. He was not leading at any point during this cycle. Last night, it was the complete opposite. Francesca Hong really didn't lead at any point as the votes were being counted. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to decipher some things. We're going to figure some things out. And we are going to rejoice just for a moment that I believe it'll be easier for Democratic coalitions to come back and coalesce behind David Crowley. But more importantly, I think David Crowley has the kind of political sentiments, especially when I share with you some of the outstate, very rural, purplish, if not bleeding red counties that favored him over Francesca Hong. There's some counties where the vote margin was 4 or 5 votes, and it only leads me to believe all of you that said, oh, I'm not going to vote, I'm going to wait until November. If a few more of you would have said that in just a handful of counties throughout the state, this would have been a very, very different result. That is why everyone needs to vote in every single election, even if you have to hold your nose and do so. Even if you are not really a party faithful person, everyone needs to cast their ballot because you never know when you are going to have a contest just like this one. David Crowley is going to potentially help the Democrats get legislative majorities where I don't know if a Hong campaign could have done that. David would be very credible in campaigning in Senate districts and assembly districts around the state that are very competitive. They're within the margins as well. And David campaigning there on behalf of that Democratic legislator could actually do some good, because if the Democrats do not have a majority in the legislature, David's first term as governor, assuming he wins, is going to be exceptionally difficult, and there will be lots of obstacles if he wants to get things actually accomplished. The other big thing is we have a census coming up shortly, and redistricting is going to be top of mind for many, many people. And we know that the maps that we have now are much more favorable to Democrats. Well, the party that has the majority in the assembly, in the legislature, redraws the maps for the next census. Assuming that David Crowley is able to win, he will be governor when the maps are getting redrawn. So having fair maps that adequately represent Democratic voters and the districts in which they live in is paramount. That is why this legislative majority is exceptionally important. So now it's a lot easier for us to talk about, whereas if Francesca Hong would have won last night, then talking about these legislative majorities would have been an afterthought, because her whole campaign would have been platforming democratic socialism and not necessarily getting a majority of even moderate Democrats elected to the Wisconsin state legislature. Got a lot to talk about today, and thank you all for choosing to spend at least part of your morning with us. And also thank you to those who spent a good portion of your evening with myself and Dr. Ken last night. We had an interesting broadcast. 4.5 hour live stream we did. That was very impressive. So thanks again to everyone who participated via Hughes Views 414 on YouTube. I'm going to take a break, come back, and we're going to dive right back into it. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
I told you we should ride with the windows open. How you gon' roll if you scared of Doja?
David Crowley pulled off a victory in Wisconsin's Democratic primary for governor on Tuesday. That was both a stunning upset, and an unheard of comeback, defeating the field's frontrunner with a Hail Mary effort in the final weeks of the race that was seen as a test of whether new Democratic socialist victories in deep blue states could be replicated in Midwestern battlegrounds. Let me first give credit where credit is due. While I did not necessarily agree with the issues nor the sentiments of some of her supporters, from a political science perspective, from a grassroots organizing perspective, talking about meeting voters where they are and responding to political extremes coming from Donald Trump 2.0, the campaign that Francesca Hong ran was a beautiful exhibition of political science. She did everything right. Now, you may disagree with some of the things that she may have said during what we call woke one and maybe some of her tweets. But when you think about it, both candidates had tweets from a long time ago that they likely regret. But at the end of the day, I don't know if that mattered. What she needed to do, and it looks like her strategy was executed, but she had a monkey wrench thrown in the plan, and the monkey wrench that was thrown into this plan that I don't really think anybody accounted for, because again, we were relying on polling that was either inaccurate, under-indexed for certain types of voters, or we just couldn't figure out where a third of the primary voters were going to go because they were still undecided. Ultimately, it looks like they broke for the establishment and supported David Crowley in just the right amounts to give him a very, very small victory. But also, we all underestimated the popularity of Tony Evers. This was very much a last-ditch effort. It seemed like it was too late. It looked like the writing was on the wall. Plus, this entire election cycle was very inconsistent. You had candidates that were in the race that didn't have paths to victory. You had candidates that were all agreeing with one another, which ultimately was a benefit for Francesca Hong and her platform. Mandela gets in the race in December. That didn't help. Sarah Rodriguez, who was supposed to be the heir apparent, as she is still currently the lieutenant governor, her financial woes ended up tanking her campaign. Then David Crowley, being respectful, he drops out, puts his support behind Sarah Rodriguez. And then all of a sudden, within a couple of days, David Crowley is back in the race with the support of the governor. I think at the end of the day, that did it. That helped. We all underestimated the popularity of Tony Evers. And people think because he's not a fancy speaker, he's not particularly flashy, he is not boisterous, he's a very, very humble man. At the end of the day, politically, I think that's the sentiment of most Wisconsin primary voters. Remember, primary voters are a little bit older. Young voters like to come out to the rallies. They like to party. They like to be where the excitement is. They like to have their issues be promoted front and center. But at the end of the day, the lowest cohort of voters in any election, primary or general, are 18 to 29. Now, I don't know what the details are of how they perform for Francesca Hong, but I don't know if it was quite enough. But underestimating the impact that Tony Evers could have in this race is something that we probably all did. But the 50-plus thousand votes that Kelda Roy has received, like I've got some statistics here I'm going to read for you in a second. It's something like if 3 out of 100 Kelda voters would have voted for Francesca, because a third of Kelda's voters, so I don't know, close to 17, 18,000 voters, said that Francesca Hong was absolutely their second choice. Yet Kelda stayed in the race. Kelda was a spoiler. So David Crowley needs to send a bouquet of flowers and some chocolates and some teddy bears to Kelda. Crowley defeated Francesca Hong by less than half of a percentage point in an election outcome that none of the statewide polls predicted in every survey, including one Crowley's own campaign paid for. Hong carried a double-digit lead in the race. Crowley was declared the winner by the Associated Press early Wednesday, August 12th, after a series of reporting delays in Milwaukee, Winnebago, and Greene counties. There was something that happened in Winnebago County. They had to count the votes by hand. What, you guys, we can't have faulty election tabulations when the Republican nominee is an election denier. Do you understand my concern about how this damn thing can go left in November? Because if we have a similar result, and I'm not even going to try to predict the result of that one. I'm not in the prediction game at all, because that ain't my cup of tea, obviously. If this race is within the margins come November 3rd, not only will the Tiffany campaign double down on election fraud, because what they'll do is they'll point to what happened during last night's primary, but the entire Trump apparatus that has built itself on election denial, including January 6th, which was a physical and violent representation of Donald Trump supporters denying an election that Donald Trump legitimately lost. We don't want that kind of energy here. And so I have to make sure, or let's do whatever we can to make sure whatever snafus or mistakes or human errors that transpired last night are rectified before this campaign against the actual election denier in chief starts up. Quote, David is ready to get back to work, build a broad coalition, and win in November, Crowley campaign manager Garen Randolph said in a statement. Tuesday's election outcome underscored the popularity of Governor Tony Evers. The Milwaukee County executive had dropped out of the race in July in reaction to polling that showed he had failed to break through in a crowded primary, but returned to the race just days later with an endorsement from Evers, who holds a job approval rating of more than 50% in a recent Marquette University Law School poll. I just can't believe anything that came out of that poll. It almost seems like, and I can't prove this, obviously. I did send a couple of choice messages, emails, and a tweet or two regarding the Marquette University Law School poll. Like, their polls should be deemed less than credible, like fake news, like tabloid from this point forward, because it was absolutely no good. I think that they biased their polls in a way to elicit a particular outcome. So I made a mention yesterday that an organization that I have been running for the last 15 years, it's a political organization. We use a pollster out of Washington, D.C., and we've done polls over the years. We've polled in mayoral races. We've polled when it comes to issues. And we found that in 2020, must have been 2023, maybe 2022, when Cavalier Johnson was elected mayor, the Marquette University Law School released their poll. We then conducted our own poll using a different pollster out of Washington, D.C. And our poll, and I remember seeing, it must have been 2022, because I saw Chevy at our 1-year anniversary party for The Truth. So this must have been the winter of 2022, somewhere January 2022. And our poll had just come out. And our poll showed Chevy beating Bob Donovan by whatever the margin was. And so ultimately, when the election took place, the poll that we did, not only was it accurate to the point, it was dramatically more accurate than the Marquette University Law School poll. And I was curious then, like, how they got it so miserably wrong. Like, it was great for us and it was great for my organization because we were the credible pollster. In fact, I was issued an apology by a local journalist because when we released our poll, like, oh, Sherwin, your poll is full of BS. Marquette University has the accuracy on the poll. They actually apologized to me because they were miserably wrong when they said that my poll was the one that was inaccurate. The Marquette University Law School under indexes for black voters. They think that y'all don't vote. And so they don't even ask black voters. Therefore, and this needs to be noted for any candidate that's running for office, there might be a stereotype and an assumption and probably a generalization. And I can understand why somebody would have that generalization that African Americans don't vote just as a whole. But those of us that are voters don't miss an election. And when you have contests like this where literally every vote counts, we can be the difference. And no one would suspect it because our participation is not expected. Let's talk to Linda. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
It's a great day in Milwaukee. Hello, Sherwin, and the best of Milwaukee has stepped up, and we must step up with him. Hello, somebody. I said this. I said it, Sherwin. I'm so happy. I tried to contain myself throughout the whole intro of your monologue, but, you know, I just couldn't contain myself because I see it. The best of Milwaukee has stepped up, and the best of Milwaukee must step up with him, and we must be the change we want to see. Hello, somebody. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. I want Sherwin, you and I, you going to come pick me up? We're going to dress up in all the election gear. I'm trying to tell you because I'm telling you, the best of Milwaukee will take down Tiffany, and we will make a political stand. Hello, somebody. And that Marquette poll guy, he should be fired because, yes, they never poll us, and I always wanted to be polled. I just called WISN, and I said, why is that poll always wrong? You know, he should be fired for that racist, biased polling. That's all I had to say, Sherry. Woosah. I'm just happy, that's all. Because this is a changing point for us. I don't care what you say, Sherwin. your Powerball predictions is wrong, and your political prediction in this case was wrong. And I'm happy you were. But yes, this is the best time for Black Milwaukee to step up and be the change we want to see in this. Hello. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Huh? All right.
You too. All right, then. Hello, somebody. Sounds like she wants to get polled by me. Why does she have to say that me and her going to get all dressed up? No. That has nothing to do with anything that happened. Don't bring me into this. I see that you want to get polled, Linda. I'm not going to poll you.
Shaboing, boing, boing.
No shaboing, boing, boing. And I'm not polling anybody. I'm done polling for a while.
It tastes so good.
I want to make sure that the irregularities in how we count our votes are cleared up. If an internal poll done by the campaign, which are usually the most favorable, because they'll give you some insight as to where you need to be and where you need to maybe change your messaging, because they ask voters, like, if David had this stance on taxes and the millionaires, would you change your vote? If David had this stance on public education and fully funding public schools, would you change your vote? And so what internal polls oftentimes do is they give you a different pathway to pursue, and you can change your campaign strategy to maybe adopt the philosophy of the voters. He was losing even in the internal poll. So what the hell were we supposed to do? But here's the thing. There's some folks that just believed. And maybe that's all it takes. Maybe it has nothing to do with science and anything like that. I have not yet considered Francesca Hong's supporters and will they get behind David Crowley. I think it was very easy for them to say when she was comfortably leading and running a really, really fantastic campaign. I think it was very easy for them to say, hey, when Francesca wins, you all you moderates and independents and centrists and establishment people, you all need to get behind her. And their energy was very, very strong because they knew that they would need the largest coalition possible to support Francesca Hong against a Republican, because the onslaught of negative campaigning coming from Trump world and coming from Tom Tiffany and the Republicans would be overwhelming. And they are armed, they're cocked, and they are ready to go. They've got a tremendous amount of resources to pour into Wisconsin, because Republicans have always had a tremendous amount of resources to pour into Wisconsin. So building bridges between Democratic socialists and centrists, moderates, and establishment folks is something that her supporters needed to do. Now, I'm wondering now that the shoe is on the other foot. But here's the thing. I don't expect Francesca's supporters, at least not all of them, I don't expect them, because they have a different political philosophy. And that's why I kept saying throughout this cycle, they really aren't Democrats. They're not team players. I did hear a little bit of her speech that she gave last night. It wasn't necessarily a concession, but I think it showed a tremendous amount of grace and a tremendous amount of class. She did not go negative at all during this election cycle. She very well could have, but she didn't. She stayed positive. She stayed optimistic. She stayed upbeat. We even got a benefit, right? She even changed her way. Now she loves Thanksgiving again. She used to maybe didn't like Thanksgiving. Maybe she didn't like it, but now she loves it again. In fact, I'll tell you what, Franny Pants, because now I'm back to calling her Franny Pants. If Franny Pants invited me over for Thanksgiving, I would eat Thanksgiving dinner with Franny Pants. I'd love to talk to her about her fantastic campaign that she ran. Now, I also think that some of the issues, I'm not entirely sure which ones, but some of the issues that she promoted, it is probably in the best interest of the Crowley campaign to adopt some of them, including he's going to have to do a moratorium on data centers. He's just going to have to, or at least say it and then see how far it actually gets, because the strength of her candidacy in rural counties, I believe, was based on her rejection of wanting data centers to be built in outstate Wisconsin. We'll take a break, come back, continue our chat. Feel free to join us on the YouTube. 1017 The Truth on YouTube. Hit subscribe. You'll be able to view the in-studio camera and also participate in the highly entertaining YouTube chat. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Let's see what we got going on here. Early Wednesday, the race between Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong and Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley remained too early to call as 28,000 absentee ballots from Milwaukee were delayed because of a human error in uploading the results. I did speak to someone who is familiar with that human error, and this is what they told me. And they spoke to me on the condition of anonymity. I want to tell you who it is so bad, but I can't do it. I got to respect my sources. Apparently, this is what happened. So it's not some huge conspiracy. It's not, all of a sudden we found 15,000 votes for David Crowley, which is kind of what happened. They're like, oh, what are these? Oh, votes. Let's count those. This is what it came to. Good Lord. Somebody didn't push a button. Like there's an upload to the flash drive button. Imagine if that's what your only job is. Hey, everybody. Hey, I'm here clocked in. Hey, everybody, look, it's the flash drive guy. Because the flash drive guy you only see once every 4 years. You don't see the flash drive guy all the time because you don't need him. And they got a suit on probably. Probably red, white, and blue suit. Because it's real patriotic, because you're the flash drive guy. That's what you do. You take the flash drive and you flash drive it. Okay? And the flash drive guy's like, everybody step back. Let me work. Everyone, clear the way. Oh, the flash drive guy is here. He's going to do his work. He's probably real flamboyant with it. Probably got on glittery socks like Michael Jackson because he's a flash drive guy. You got to be a little flashy because this is the job. This is what he does. He makes sure that all the very coveted data that goes into our very precious babies of the electronic voting machines. Side note on that, I wonder if anybody else had this experience. Don't worry, we're going to get back to the inept flash drive guy in a second. I think the flash drive guy went down to Illinois and got to some dispensaries and got some dispensary weed. He was like, I'm the flash drive guy. I'll get high if I want to. Can't tell me I can't get high. I'm going to go down to Illinois. We probably should flock camera the flash drive guy to see if the flash drive guy was high. Bars! So when I go vote yesterday, I was number 48 at about 1:45 in the afternoon, which is not horrendously low for my voting ward, but nothing really to write home about. So it was hard for me to ascertain what the black community's sentiment was because my ward that I live in is exceptionally black. I only see white people in my neighborhood by accident. Like they're on their way somewhere else if I see them. Now, we got a couple of whites. I like my whites. We've got a couple of decent whites. But I don't see very many of them, and I'm actually okay with that. That's fine. So when I approach the table at Ward 159 at Sherman School on 50th and Locust, there's two black ladies there. One of them recognized me from 101.7 The Truth. God bless her. And I had to say my name and I give my ID. I said, Sherwin Hughes. She said, Sherwin Hughes from 109.9 AM FM, D.C., Washington, D.C. Sherwin Hughes from 94.5 WKLH. I was like, close enough. She said, oh, I listen to you every day, Sherwin Hughes from 98.3 JMR. I said, oh, thank you, ma'am, for listening to me on 102.9 The Rock. So I give them my identification. They find my name in the poll book. I sign my name right next to the printout in the poll book. And then a white feller comes up from nowhere. Why white people just be coming out of nowhere? It's a very black experience I'm having yesterday. Going to my polling location in a black neighborhood. The two poll workers sitting at the table are two black ladies. One of them recognized me from the radio, even though she couldn't exactly name the frequency. Are you Sherwin Hughes from 82.6 The Beat? I was like, yes, ma'am, I am. And then a white guy comes up and says, do you want to vote with this ballot right here? Do you want this ballot here? I said, what is that? He's like, oh, it's electronic. You feed it into the machine, and then you can vote on a computer with the touch screen. And he's like pushing the ballot like into my hand. I'm like, hold on, Playboy. I said, I don't know what that is, dog. I said, what is this? He said, no, it's electronic here. And it's like a blank piece of paper with like there was some writing at the bottom of it, but it was mostly blank. But I guess you slide it into electronic voting machine, which I have never seen in my polling location before. And I've been voting at the same place since 2006. I don't like change, especially when I'm going to do my duty now. So this white dude just comes up, no, here, you want to do this with the electronic ballot? I said, this is not the time to experiment, sir. And he's still pushing. Were any of you asked or encouraged to use touchscreen voting? Because I didn't like that because he was like pushy. Because I'm thinking to myself, first of all, why was he so adamant about me changing the way that I vote? No, I like the Scantron. That's what I like. Give me the ballot. I want to take my pen because I try to be real neat in a circle. I challenge myself to not have any of my ink outside of the circle. I like to do that. Leave me alone. I find joy in the smallest of things. You find joy in small things. Sherwin finds joy in small things too. But then the white fella comes up, and he was very white. It's extremely Caucasian. Here, electronic. I said, I don't want to do that. And I'm glad that I didn't, because what if some of these irregularities with the flash drive guy was people using that damn electronic voting? I like it the old-fashioned way. I want a paper ballot that can actually be tracked. A piece of actual paper, because these are not the days and times that we mess around with. This is just my opinion. For those of you that like to vote electronically and you feel more comfortable doing that, I don't like it because whatever is on that computer, I believe can be some kind of way manipulated. And I don't know what our cybersecurity is here in the city of Milwaukee. What if we got a federal grant to make sure that we have cybersecurity in our elections? But if Donald Trump and his Department of Justice doesn't like Wisconsin because we tend to be a little bit too blue voting for him, and what if the city of Milwaukee lost hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in cybersecurity grants, and what if there are actual vulnerabilities in our voting machines? I actually think about this stuff. I didn't like it. So, white feller, if you're listening, relax. Trying to push your electronic voting on me, Mr. Man. Apparently, the flash drive guy did not push the proper button to upload the data that was electronically recorded from City of Milwaukee ballots yesterday, and that led to an incredible delay. However, I have been assured that all of the counts are up to date and they are accurate. I'm going to take a break, come back. I want to save this next part for hour two, so I'll do another segment on some of the incredibly slim margins that David Crowley won by in some of these outstate up north counties. And some of these counties, David probably never even went to. There's no way he went to all 72 counties, because some counties, I'll be honest with you, not worth going to. Not worth going to a county that has more cows and more Ford F-150s than you have actual voters. But he was able to get very small vote margins in some of these very rural counties. So that must count for something. And maybe that's on the strength of the Tony Evers endorsement. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes doing post-election wrap-up, I suppose, of an improbable victory by Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, in which he did defeat what we believe was the front runner for the entire cycle, State Representative Francesca Hong, who we affectionately call Franny Pants. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving, you're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/Versity on King to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is "My job is people, everyone is my business." But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com, with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Let's start with Florence County, which is in the far northeastern portion of the state of Wisconsin. Florence County borders on Upper Michigan. David Crowley received 38.4% of the vote in Florence County. Francesca Hong received 38.1% of the vote in Florence County. Raw vote totals. For those of you that think that your vote doesn't matter, your vote doesn't count, David Crowley got 123 votes in Florence County. Francesca Hong got 122, a one-vote margin. That might have come down to a single household. The wife was a supporter of David because he's a chocolate man. He's very chocolatey, dark-skinned. And the husband was like, I'm not going to vote for that darky. I'm going to vote for the Asian lady because I fetishize her. And there you one vote. What's another close one? Oh, this one not so much. What is this here? Crawford County. David Crowley, 38.7. Francesca Hong, 33.2. David gets 767 votes. Franny Pants got 658. Other candidates got 28% of the vote. Having that crowded selection, because when you got your ballot, they were all on there. I forgot about Missy Hughes. I'm like, hey, Missy, I ain't seen you in a while. Saw her on the ballot. Burnett County. David Crowley, 578. Francesca Hong, 462. Other candidates, 434 votes. Iron County, far, far north county, borders on Lake Superior. David Crowley, 215 votes. Francesca Hong, 207. Other candidates, 151 votes. What's another one here? Taylor County, David Crowley, 524. Francesca Hong, 397. Other candidates, 354. Perhaps this will be a valuable lesson to both political parties. It likely is not in your best interest to have such a crowded primary with candidates who have no realistic path for victory, because they will spoil this race for someone. And I could see if people that voted for Kelda or people that voted for Mandela or those early supporters of Sarah Rodriguez. Here's the thing. Their political agendas were almost completely and totally identical. There was no reason. Here's what I thought was going to happen. I thought that Francesca had more of a direct path to victory because her voters and her supporters are very, very specific. And her agenda talked about things that sometimes Democrats either don't discuss at all or don't go far enough on. And there's a very specific constituency that I personally believe that only she could motivate. I was wrong. The number of progressive voters that found something in Mandela and Sarah Rodriguez, and in particular, Kelda Royce. When I get into the details of how Kelda's supporters and Kelda being in that race actually took the race from Fran, the way I handicapped it, if Kelda drops out of the race, even if she doesn't endorse, but let's say she drops out of the race and she endorses her state assembly representative, which is Francesca Hong, Fran wins by 30,000 votes. But with Kelda staying in and getting better than 50,000 votes, which we know that those votes, the vast majority of them would have gone to Fran. Let me just break it down a little bit further. If just 5% of Kelda's voters would have voted for Francesca Hong, David Crowley's lead is erased in that 5%. If you ask Kelda Roy's supporters who their second choice is, 34% of them said absolutely it's Francesca Hong. Okay, let's assume that's true. Let's assume that let's say 60,000 votes that Kelda got, she drops out of the race, and then a third of her supporters, so 20,000 people, would go to Francesca. Like, that's an accurate prediction. Francesca wins by 17,000 votes, give or take. That really is where this race was lost. Progressives had far more candidates to choose from than did moderates and centrists, which is represented by the establishment wing of the Democratic Party in Tony Evers and in David Crowley. Now, this does not mean that the establishment is the clear winner. It means that there is some serious leftward movement of the Democratic voter coalition in the state of Wisconsin, at least in the primary. I don't know what these general election voters are going to do because there's a very large contingent of people, better than 50 or 60% of the eligible and or registered voters that did not vote at all last night. They didn't. Now, the question is, what do those voters want to see? Do they want to continue, David Crowley's pathway? Or do they want to embrace something from what Mandela offered? Not Joel Brennan, because shout out to Joel Brennan, though. Hold on. Joel Brennan ended up getting just under 5% of the vote. So I can't call him milk anymore because he got better than 2%. He didn't need to be in the race at all. And did I make a stupid prediction with him. We were all stupid a little bit. Thank you, Marquette University Law School poll. Made a wonderful mess out of things. Had us thinking stuff that wasn't true, but it wasn't just them. It was even internal polling from the Crowley campaign. It just wasn't looking good for David at all. And that is why, a lot of us were disappointed by that quote-unquote debate because finally we could see a little bit more of the candidates' personalities. I wanted to see them challenge each other. I wanted them to shoot down each other's ideas, but that didn't happen. But I think ultimately that debate, shouldn't even call it that, a candidate forum is really what it was. I mean, it was what it was, right? It did what it needed to do. It just put all the candidates on stage and allowed them to agree with one another. So at least on the issues, most of those folks that were running for governor are not too far apart. And we just hope that that's going to be enough for general election voters who are going to have their say in about 84 days. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Milwaukee, can you still afford to keep your lights on? Bills are up, shut-off notices are up. People are choosing between the electric bill and groceries. And now, We Energies wants to build giant data centers and then send the bill to us. Low-income, moderate-income families and renters, seniors on fixed income. If you're against paying for someone else's power, if you want the power, you pay for the power. Tell the Public Service Commission. Comment now or come speak at Marquette the first week of September. Go to walnutway.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Dream of a land my soul is from. I hear a hand stroke on the drum.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. We are analyzing, deciphering, and trying to sort through what the hell happened. Congratulations to Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. He is the Democratic nominee for governor in the state of Wisconsin. The contest against Republican Tom Tiffany is slated for November 3rd. There's about 84 days between now and that contest. Kelda Roys may have been the difference. The Wisconsin Democratic gubernatorial primary ended with an extraordinarily narrow result. David Crowley defeated Francesca Hong by about only 3,200 votes, while Kelda Roys received roughly 59,000 votes statewide. So I'm going to go through the detail that will thoroughly explain in a very convincing manner that Kelda staying in this race did the most damage to a single candidate, and that was Francesca Hong. Kelda received 59,000 votes statewide. Crowley finished at about 39.8%, Hong at 39.4%, and Kelda Roys at about 7.5%. This creates a very simple question. If Kelda Roys had not been on the ballot, where would those 59,000 voters have gone? Now, we cannot know for certain, but there are several reasons to take the, quote, Roys was the spoiler argument. And so I'm bringing this up because I hope that some really talented, really smart journalist, whether locally, statewide, or nationally, picks this story up because it is fascinating once I delved into the numbers. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I was up late because the city of Milwaukee had a bad flash drive guy. I'm sleepy. And I wake up and I got all these text messages. When I went to bed, I didn't know who won the damn race. But then I saw all the unread text messages that I had. I was like, uh-oh. I've been looking at numbers all morning. So I'm going a little crazy because I've been looking at numbers. I've been doing the mathematics. Case in point, why our children need educational options and need to be on grade level in math, because if our children that go to Milwaukee Public Schools are not on grade level in math and 90% of them are not, they're not going to be able to decipher a goddamn election. I need to have a political science degree in mathematicians and mathematicals and statistics, statisticians. I got to be an actuarial scientist. Royce had 20 times the votes necessary to change the result. Crowley beat Hong by approximately 3,200 votes. Royce received approximately 59,000 votes. Hong therefore needed only 5% of Kelda Roy's voters to switch to erase Crowley's statewide lead. So 5% of Kelda's voters, and if you ask Kelda supporters who their number 2 choice is, it's Francesca. Remember, they represent the exact same area. Kelda is the senator in the area in Madison where Francesca is the assembly representative, meaning Francesca's assembly district sits inside of Kelda's Senate district. It's literally the same voters, but also I want to give you the vote totals at the countywide level from Dane County. David Crowley was exceptionally competitive. He was more competitive in Dane County. He should have gotten completely evaporated in Dane County. Like, it should have been somewhere around 65-35 or at least 60-40. Francesca Hong only got 44% of the Dane County vote. David Crowley got 36%. But here's the important part. Other candidates that were on the ballot got 19.3%. Let's assume that those other candidates decided they were going to drop out of the race, or in the case of Mandela Barnes, let's say they never got in the first place. It is it's realistic to believe that 20% of Dane County voters that voted for other candidates would have gone to Francesca, and there's her 60-40 margin that she would have needed to win. So she had so many more pathways to victory, but they closed because of all of the other candidates that were on the ballot. And so I had said some time ago when we had 34% of undecided voters, they were looking for a reason to support someone other than Francesca. I think that part is actually accurate. If there was anything that was correct about the polling that we saw, the number of undecided voters. Because if you're a Francesca Hong supporter, and you probably still are today, you were never undecided. You weren't thinking, Franny or Joel Brennan. That probably never came into their minds. They were going to support her, period, hands down, point blank, regardless of who else was in the race. Milwaukee County, Francesca Hong was more competitive in Milwaukee County than she should have been, right? She did better in Milwaukee County, which is a big no-no, and this is what a lot of us were noticing. We didn't really see any momentum. We didn't really see any excitement here in Milwaukee County, and maybe there was an assumption made on behalf of the Crowley campaign because there is a coalition of people that live and vote in Milwaukee County, particularly in the city. If on my Twitter, I posted a heat map. The votes and the strength of the vote for David Crowley mimics the segregation of the city of Milwaukee. And as you move away from the north side and into suburban communities, you see David Crowley's vote share get lighter and lighter because the map is color-coded. And then once you get to some North Shore suburbs and some more liberal parts of the city of Milwaukee, keep in mind the east side of the city of Milwaukee, the 3rd Aldermanic District is represented by Alex Brower. Alex Brower is a Democratic Socialist. So you can literally have the 3rd Aldermanic District that is represented by Alex Brower, a Democratic Socialist, where Francesca Hong cleaned up. And that's a city of Milwaukee district with a very, very high voter turnout percentage. In fact, the 3rd Aldermanic District is the most educated and the most wealthy demographic aldermanic district in the city of Milwaukee. But that is par for the course because when the DSA of America did a demographic survey of their actual members, it's something like 30% of Democratic Socialists have a master's degree or higher, and another 30% make over $100,000 a year. So I think there might be some misconception that, Democratic Socialists are, these poor working class white folks who are all making minimum wage. It is actually quite the opposite. So I'm not shocked that the whiter and the higher the education level and the higher the income of the voter, the more likely they were to vote for Francesca Hong, which also explains why Alex Brower, a Democratic Socialist, got elected to represent the most educated and the most wealthy aldermanic district in the city of Milwaukee. Francesca Hong got within 2 points of David Crowley, 1.5 points of David Crowley in Milwaukee County. David Crowley got 43% of the vote. In the county in which he was elected countywide twice, Francesca Hong got 41.5%. So her doing that rally in South Milwaukee, beautiful, beautiful political science. Her texting me and saying, Sherwin, I'm doing doors in your neighborhood and a Francesca Hong yard sign being right across the street from my yard, that's very significant because I live in David Crowley's former assembly district. She campaigned in his backyard and actually performed well. She was on her way to winning this race, but Kelda spoiled it. Let's talk to a very disappointed Francesca Hong supporter. Hello, Dion. How are you this morning?
What's going on, Sherwin? How you doing?
Doing good, man. What's on your mind?
You know what? I feel like, and this is me myself, I don't understand how David dropped out of the election, was real low in the polls, and come back and win. That's I just feel like there's more behind it than just that, though. It doesn't sit well with me, though. You feel what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. I wasn't, a franny panty like you call her. You know what I'm saying? Like, God.
Not franny panty, even though I like that. It's franny pants.
Franny pants. Okay, I wasn't like gun-ho for her. Like, oh, my God, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, like I told you when I called you on your personal phone, I said I wasn't familiar with too many other people that voted. I just wanted to go for her. You know what I'm saying? The reason I felt like David Crowley had a weak election because he dropped out and then came back, and it's just suspicious to me because that's just like if you're actually running a race, a marathon or something, then you stop. and you rest. And then people are ahead of you. And all of a sudden you just come back and win. It's like, it just don't sit well with me, though. But, it is what it is, though. So, I'm not going to vote for Tom Tiffany. But to be honest with you, and this is truly honest, I don't think that David Crowley's going to win the gubernatorial election. I think we're going to have another wacko up in there. We might as well get old Scott Walker back. At least we know what he's capable of, But, yeah, it was disappointing, though. But, I'm going to hang up and listen because I'm about to go pick my food up real quick. Because I snuck out the school real quick and I can't get caught. So I'm about to go pick my food up. But I just wanted to make that comment. God, I can't stand these people. But yeah, I just wanted to make that comment. So I'm going to hang up and listen.
All right. Thank you for your call. Dude is disappointed that he'll vote for Tom Tiffany. I can already tell. Roy's had almost 20 times the votes necessary to change the ultimate result. Crowley beat Hong by approximately 3,200 votes. Roy's received approximately 59,000 votes. Hong therefore needed only 5% of Kelda Roy's supporters to switch to erase Crowley's statewide advantage. In other words, 95 out of 100 Roy's voters could have stayed with Crowley or gone somewhere else, and Hong still would have won if roughly 5 out of every 100 Roy's voters had moved to her. The final State Navigate poll asked voters who supported each candidate for their second choice. Among Senator Kelda Roy's supporters, 34% chose Francesca Hong as their second choice. 29% chose David Crowley. So, Roy's voters were actually more inclined toward Hong than Crowley when asked their second preference. Apply that 5-point difference to roughly 59,000 Roy's voters. 5% of 59,000 is approximately 2,950 votes. Crowley's margin, 3,200. That is remarkably close. It doesn't prove that Roy's cost Hong the election, but it does demonstrate that the size and ideological direction of the Kelda Roy's vote were large enough to plausibly determine the winner. Now let's look at the counties. Dane County is the biggest piece of evidence for the Roy's-Hong overlap. Dane County is where both Hong and Roy's had their strongest natural constituency. Both are Madison area legislators. Roy's political base is in Madison, and Hong's strongest ideological and geographic base is also in Madison and Dane County. Wisconsin Public Radio described Hong as occupying the progressive lane in Roy's home city, while noting that Roy's was also competing for the exact same progressive constituents. Here's the important point. Hong won Dane County, but not by the kind of margin that she needed. Early election night data showed Hong around 41% in Dane County to Crowley's 38%, a much narrower victory than many observers expected. That matters enormously. Dane County was supposed to be Hong's firewall. If you're Francesca Hong, you don't merely need to win Dane County, you need to crush Crowley there. Why? Because Crowley has an enormous structural advantage in Milwaukee County. Milwaukee County is the other half of the equation. Crowley's home county was always going to be crucial. He is the Milwaukee County executive, and Milwaukee County is Wisconsin's largest county and one of the most important Democratic vote reservoirs in the state. The Associated Press specifically identified Milwaukee and Dane as the two counties most likely to be decisive in this primary election, so think of it this way. Hong needed a huge Dane County margin plus competitive Milwaukee performance. Crowley needed to maximize Milwaukee plus prevent Hong from running away with Madison and the progressive counties. And that's essentially what happened. Crowley managed to prevent Hong from building the enormous Dane County advantage that she needed. But here's where Kelda becomes the spoiler. Roy's candidacy wasn't just taking votes from some random parts of the electorate. She was competing for the exact same votes Francesca Hong needed. Think of the Democratic electorate as in three big buckets. Bucket number one, Crowley voters, moderate Democrats, Milwaukee establishment voters, voters focused on electability and executive experience. Bucket number 2, Francesca Hong voters, progressives, Democratic socialists, younger voters, Madison liberals, and voters attracted to Hong's more aggressive economic and social agenda. Bucket number 3, Senator Kelda Roy's voters, progressive Democrats, particularly Madison area voters who wanted a liberal candidate but weren't necessarily committed to Hong. That third bucket is the fascinating one, as Roy's and Hong were essentially competing for a portion of the same progressive electorate. And Roy's remained in the race all the way to Election Day. Imagine two people are trying to win a pie eating contest, and there's a third person eating pieces of the same pie. I like pie. Hong and Roy's were competing for some of the same progressive voters. Crowley didn't necessarily have to convince every progressive voter to support him. He simply had to prevent Hong from consolidating the progressive vote. And because Crowley won by 3,200 votes, while Kelda Roy's received 59,000, the Roy's vote was large enough to potentially have changed the outcome of this election. We're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, doing a little election recap where an improbable victory took place last night by the narrowest of margins, about 0.4 of a percentage point. But let me just take a moment. Can I shout out my boy? I think it's time I shout my boy out. Yiling Zhong won the Democratic primary for state treasurer as the party looks to reclaim the state constitutional office held by Republicans. Shout out to my boy. Man, look, come on, man. Come on, Yiling Zhong. He spent all his money on 101.7 The Truth. He was like, I'm going to get these blacks. I'm going to support black radio. I ain't never met this dude a day in my life, but I like him so very much. And he won with damn near 60% of the vote. Let me tell you why. You advertise on 101.7 The Truth, you can get elected president. Hell yeah. Listen, let me tell you something. The listeners of 101.7 The Truth are such a strong contingent of voters. If you advertise here, you could win president of Canada. You could win president of Venezuela. You never know. You might have a Venezuelan presidential contest, battle it out on our airwaves. Hello, my name is Edward Mercado. I'm running for the president of Venezuela. Please, 101.7 The Truth. Vote for me. You might hear it. Yiling Zhong won the Democratic primary for state treasurer as the party looks to reclaim the only state constitutional office held by Republicans. Shout out to my man. You know, I like the Hmongs. I like them. They're very small people. They're not big. They're not in the basketball leagues. They're not. I don't know what sport they play, but whatever. I'll go support a Hmong sports team. I'll go. I'll wear the uniform. I like them very much a lot. Shout out to, I guess, treasurer-elect or treasurer nominee Yiling Zhong, who gets almost 60% of the vote last night. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Dane County, the strongest evidence of the Hong-Roy's overlap. It is the most important county for the spoiler argument that Kelda Roy staying in the race, took the advantage away from Francesca Hong. Hong and Roy's both had strong Madison area constituencies. So they split Dane County, which there probably should have been more emphasis on that while we were all handicapping and editorializing this election. I think there was. I'm sure I mentioned it at some point in time. Hell, I talked about every possible scenario under the sun. David Crowley, he shouldn't have split Milwaukee with anyone, but he split it with the most unlikely candidate. He split it with Francesca Hong instead of splitting it with, you would think Mandela would have done better. I think Sarah Rodriguez actually got more votes than Mandela did. And she dropped out first. But Milwaukee was not competitive for even Joel Brennan, who's been a known commodity in the downtown business community here in Milwaukee. He's born and raised here, from here. His family is here. He did serve in the Evers administration, essentially as Tony Evers' top deputy, because when you lead the Department of Administration for state government, like that's a really heavy-hitting position. It also shows that, at least at one point in time, Tony Evers had a tremendous amount of confidence in Joel Brennan. So when I interviewed Joel, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him, was he upset that Governor Evers endorsed David Crowley? Joel got real mad. He got white guy mad. It's like, frick yeah! Frick yeah, I'm mad, Sherwin. Why did he endorse Crowley? But Joel wasn't competitive here. Francesca was. I want to go back to the county level results here, because this makes like no sense whatsoever. That Francesca Hong was within 1.5 percentage points. David Crowley got 65,131 votes in his home county, and Francesca Hong got 62,739. He got 43% of the vote. She got 41.5. My conventional wisdom would have told me, even considering how insane this race was, that David would get at least 50% of the voters in Milwaukee County. He did not. 41.5% of Milwaukee County voters went to her, but here's something else that's probably significant. 15.5% of Milwaukee County voters went to other candidates. So other candidates got 23,471 votes. Something needs to be said for the number of candidates that not only got in the race, but they refused to drop out. And I think that was a horrible mistake, because in 2022, when Mandela ran for the U.S. Senate, we had not quite as crowded a primary to see who the Democratic nominee was going to be to run against Ron Johnson. But the field was cleared. All those other Democrats all dropped out at the exact same time, quite honestly, damn near on the same day. So they could clear the field for Mandela to give him the best shot at beating Ron Johnson, because that's how high of a priority that was, and Mandela lost that. So him getting back into this race, and especially getting in like 2, if not 3 months after David Crowley launched his campaign, should be seen as blasphemy. Now, in a conversation that I had last night offline, Mandela's political career is done. I think it's finished. It should be anyway. Like, there's no reason for him to want to run statewide. Like, he could run for the school board in Crawford County. What's that one county where it was only right here? I'm sorry, Florence County, where David Crowley got 123 votes and Francesca Hong got 122. But even in Florence County, 75 votes went to other candidates. In fact, in Florence County, Kelda Roy's got 9.4%, Sarah Rodriguez got 5.6%, Mandela Barnes got 4.4%, and the rest of the field split 4.1%. That is crazy. In Florence County, one vote decided the direction of that county. So if Mandela was to run, he can go run somewhere like that. But as far as running for statewide office, he's finished, because he made a wonderful mess of things. And one of the remarks that I had made pretty consistently through this whole election cycle is we've been in this mess because of Mandela Barnes. And I know some of y'all like him very much and you think he's a great guy. I'm not taking anything away from him personally. I mean, he did have a situation with the hoes, right? He had hoes. Some of his hoes, you know, but he's a single man. Single men got hoes. But apparently, even when you're running as a liberal in the most progressive political party that we have, or at least the most progressive of the two major parties, you would think that people would be okay with you having hoes. But Mandela, I guess he had a few too many hoes. Maybe there's a whole threshold. Maybe you can have 3 hoes, but 4 hoes is, oh no, not 4 hoes. So I believe that his statewide political aspirations should be diminished. There's a whole bunch of other things that Mandela can do. It's been proven that he has been a spoiler in ways that have not put the Democrats in an advantage position. Losing to Ron Johnson, leaving his position as lieutenant governor to even challenge Ron Johnson in the first place. All Mandela had to do was not even take the risk and run for Senate, and he would have remained lieutenant governor. I firmly believe that Mandela would have been reelected as lieutenant governor. Then guess what? Tony Evers in 2025 says, hey, I'm not running again. And then boom, Mandela is the heir apparent. There's not even going to be a Democratic primary. When you have an heir apparent, a 2-term lieutenant governor is just assumed that the entire establishment, the entire apparatus would then put their support behind Mandela Barnes, because think about what you have. You have someone who had been elected and reelected statewide twice. That is the kind of advantage. That is the name identification that you need to challenge any Republican that you might be facing. But he mortgaged his future on a gamble that did not pay off. Now, the biggest, I guess, asterisk in all of that, so Mandela steps down from being lieutenant governor, or he doesn't run for re-election, runs for Senate and loses. That's when we get Sarah Rodriguez. And one of the things that will be noted in the history of this election, because this was going to be talked about for a very, very long time, is that we wouldn't even have gotten Sarah Rodriguez as lieutenant governor had Mandela just run for re-election to lieutenant governor and not run for the U.S. Senate. And Sarah Rodriguez's impact in this campaign is monumental. The miscommunication or the mismanagement of her campaign finance reports is the story. That and Kelda being a spoiler for Francesca, because Kelda took just enough progressive voters away from Francesca in liberal Dane County to where Francesca could not unilaterally run up the score in her own backyard. Because if you look at how competitive Francesca was in Milwaukee County, there's no way she should have been within 1.5 points of David Crowley's vote total in the county that elected and reelected David Crowley. So her campaign strategy to campaign in Milwaukee, whether it be doing doors in the black community or doing a pretty big rally in South Milwaukee, like that worked out beautifully for her. It's just Kelda took away her vote totals in her home district. I also got some information yesterday so we had a state Supreme Court race in April of this year, I'm assuming, right? I think so. So Dane County, or Kelda, it was, Francesca's assembly district, because we wanted to look at how they were performing So in Francesca's backyard, in the assembly district that she represents, what were her voters doing? So get this, by 11 o'clock yesterday morning, okay, 11 a.m., 24,000 votes had been cast in Francesca Hong's district. We're talking with 8 more hours of the polls being open, 24,000 people had already voted, right? So when we got those numbers, conventional wisdom told us, like, oh, man, Fran is cleaning up in her district, which she should and which she had to. But it was shocking to see that that many people in her assembly district had already voted by 11 a.m. I'll give you a little point of reference here. In the Supreme Court race that was statewide in April, only 20,000 people had voted in Francesca's district by 11 a.m. So 4,000 more people voted in the Democratic primary for governor out of Francesca's assembly district yesterday than they did in April in a damn general election. Like, that is, when I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. And then I looked at the fact that Milwaukee had only cast 28,000 early votes altogether. I was like, oh, well, that's the margin right there. Holy smokes, were we wrong? Hong needed Madison to be a fortress. Instead, she won it, but Crowley kept the damage manageable. Number 2, Milwaukee County, Crowley's firewall. This is where Crowley's coalition mattered most. He entered the race as Milwaukee County executive and had the advantage of an established, there's that establishment word, political organization and substantial familiarity in the state's largest Democratic county. So I'm going to take a break, come back, give you a few more takeaways, but also, shall we discuss this boogeyman, this evil doer that lurks in the Democratic side of politics? The establishment. Is the establishment something to be frowned upon? Are they the problem? Are they the reason why so many progressives are anti-establishment and why the label of establishment is not necessarily a good thing? Like, nobody should walk around wearing a T-shirt saying they're establishment. Has the establishment been unfairly demonized? Because we're going to have to sort all this out if you guys want and expect the desired result come November 3rd. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be back shortly.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Craving something fresh, fun, and absolutely delicious? Then head to Goody Gourmets, celebrating 20 legendary years of gourmet popcorn that's bursting with flavor. From sweet to savory and everything in between, every batch is handcrafted with premium ingredients made to bring joy to every bite. Stop by 6369 North Green Bay Avenue and discover why Milwaukee can't get enough of Goody Gourmets. Open Monday through Saturday. Treat yourself today at goodygourmets.com. Goody Gourmets. Fresh, delicious, legendary.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like, it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
question that came in via the YouTube chat, directed at me. Sherwin, the biggest challenge for Crowley is what will he do for the black men / youth in Milwaukee? What the hell can he do? If you are an executive, governor of the state of Wisconsin, you can sign legislation passed by the Assembly and the Senate. You can veto legislation passed by the Assembly and the Senate, which they can go back and override. And you can get very creative in crafting our biennial budgets, which can direct funding to different places, spaces, organizations, etc. To answer that question, because I don't want anyone to think that black men and black boys are just lowly, shiftless, and completely helpless, because when you think about it, there's not a lot of impact that you can have on that boy's family, on his abusive mama and his incarcerated father. There's a lot of times the die has already been cast, and some people we're just not going to be able to save. And I wish that there was a more profound understanding of that, because I think that we realize how we may have failed people in our community, but that's the community failing other people. We can't then say, oh no, we failed all these children. We weren't there for them. We didn't protect them. We allowed for their abuse and we turned a blind eye to it, and then say, hey, government, come help these people. It is never going to work like that. And some of the most successful communities that you will see anywhere will not turn a blind eye to the needs and the futures of their children, nor will they expect the government to have the solution. It's very, very difficult for African Americans because we may see things happening to children that are negatively impacting them. But here's what I would challenge you to do. Let's say you see a parent that's not parenting very well. Go ahead and tell that mama she's doing a bad job. No, I'll wait. No, I'll watch. I'll get my camera out while you go tell this mother that she is creating a toxic and poisonous, unproductive environment for her son. And then I'll do you one better. Then tell that mother when that child gets home from school that they sit down at the kitchen table and they do the homework together. And then the mother spends 2 hours a night reading to the child, and the child can't have any screen time because they're going to have reading time. You go ahead and suggest that to that mother. Go ahead. The problem is, I think that we have resigned to the fact that we don't have any influence on one another, because there are so many positive examples of what black people can do, what they can be, and our accomplishments, but they're not penetrating. The other thing that we have to worry about is the number of very talented African Americans, very creative, your entrepreneurs, people that would make great stewards on behalf of the public, like people that would be great candidates for political office. They don't stay here. They go to where their talents can be better recognized. And some of that is just the unintended or maybe intended consequence of being a hyper minority in a state like Wisconsin. African Americans are only 4% of the state's population. Now, you can look at that one of two ways. Because the population of African Americans is so small, the overall investment of resources in that very small population can go a long way. I would argue, what the hell do you do about suffering white people? Because they are 80% of the population, but 84% of the voters. Arguably, there are probably more poor white people in any collection of 4 or 5 counties than there are black people in the entire state of Wisconsin. But also keeping in mind, and this is something that I thought would be working against David Crowley, but it also shows this duplicity and the dichotomy of the Wisconsin voter. The Wisconsin voter is exceptionally schizophrenic. The Wisconsin voter is off of its meds. You didn't take your Thorazine or whatever you people take. You didn't take it. Because how do you have a liberally, democratically elected Supreme Court take away a minority scholarship? And they're soon to make unconstitutional a supplier diversity program where 5% of the state's contracts go to minority-owned businesses. That's going to be made illegal because they look at race. And anything that looks at race, even if it's been demonstrated that one race was discriminated, wanting to make up for that past discrimination by putting a damn 5% preference on contracts, that's going to be unconstitutional as well. And also, you have a referendum on the ballot on November 3rd that will make, like, David Crowley's story is admired by many of how he came up from, very humble beginnings. And I'm being diplomatic when I say that, to reach damn near the highest level of electoral politics in the state of Wisconsin. I'd imagine somewhere along the way, there were some opportunities. There was some desire for more diversity, equity, and inclusion. Maybe there was some benefit that he received, maybe something along the way that helped smooth the roughness of the road that was the one that he took to his path to success. There's going to be a question on the ballot that is going to take all of that away. At the same time, Wisconsin voters chose an African-American man in a state that is 80% white, that is also the worst, one of the absolute worst states for black children to get an education and for black families to be successful. That is a kind of duplicity that I don't know if you can explain with just regular conventional wisdom. I've always had a very healthy mistrust of Caucasian voters, and I say that because why wouldn't they put their social and political interests first? You're supposed to. Now, here's the weird thing about that. When white people put their interests first, because I think that white people really care about their communities and their families, but when they do so, we as black people find it racist. It's almost like we don't want them to walk and chew gum at the same time, because we can be pro-black all day and people just accept that. But if somebody says, I'm pro-white, hey, you're a racist. Now, we look a little bit beneath the surface because white isn't even really a thing. White is Europeans that shed their identity in favor of being a part of a system that gets to structurally and institutionally discriminate. We get that part. But the climate that we are in, solidified and fortified by the Trump administration, because the better than 200 executive orders that Donald Trump signed his first, probably week or two in office, struck right at the heart of all of the civil rights progress that had been made over the past 7 decades, including the original executive order signed March 9th, 1961, by then President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, creating affirmative action. We must take affirmative action to ensure that all Americans have jobs and opportunities within the federal government, because the way Kennedy saw it, if black people are citizens of this country and they are paying federal income taxes, then black people deserve opportunities in the federal government. How incredibly disrespectful. But that's the heart of what the civil rights movement was. The whole thing with Rosa Parks, some of it was staged, but point well taken. If a black person is paying the same fare as a white person riding the bus, you can't tell that black person where they are supposed to sit because they're paying the same fare. Now, if black people were able to ride public transportation for free, absolutely you can say, hey, you don't have to pay to ride this bus, but here are the free seats. That's totally different. But because we paid the same fare, you, he, she, they, nor the system can dictate where a black person sits. So Rosa was like, I'm going to sit here. And the bus driver was like, oh, no, you're not. I'll pull this bus over. Yes, indeed, I will. And then you know what happened after that. If black people are paying federal income taxes, then the federal government should be open for their employment. How disrespectful to collect federal income taxes from African Americans, but then still bar them from federal employment. And that is what Kennedy did, and that was the birth of affirmative action. Donald Trump took it away. Cancer research by the federal government, which we know has improved and lengthened the lives of African Americans more so than any other demographic group. And the federal government invests in cancer research because this is something that goes back to the Barack Obama administration. A lot of folks who love Barack Obama, we romanticize him, and some of you wish Barack Obama would run again. We don't even understand the most important parts of his legacy. When he gave Joe Biden what did he give him? The Presidential Medal of Freedom. But he also named Joe Biden as the cancer czar, because one of the reasons why Joe Biden did not run for president in 2016 because he was dealing with the death of his son, Beau, who died from cancer. Joe Biden, who we believe has got cancer himself, and that debate that he messed up against Donald Trump, that wasn't because Joe Biden has dementia. That man was going through chemotherapy. We come to find out 2 damn weeks ago. Wish they would have said it then. Well, I guess they couldn't have said it then because then they should have said, oh, you shouldn't be president if you got the chemos and the cancers. Barack Obama named Joe Biden as the cancer czar, and Joe Biden, when he gets elected in 2020, took cancer funding and cancer research very seriously, so the federal government invested in it. And it improved the lives and extended the lives of African Americans with cancer more than any other demographic group. Donald Trump reduced, if not eliminated, the federal government's investment in cancer research for one reason and one reason only, because it was improving Black people's lives. But the reason why we had those bigger investments in cancer research is because it will improve the lives and the longevity of African Americans. But for some reason, we don't attribute that stuff to Barack Obama nor Joe Biden's legacy. I will stop short of saying that the Democrats have found the Obama coalition, because I think that is a relic of the past, because Democrats have been searching and failing miserably to put together that Barack Obama coalition that existed in 2008 and 2012. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. And the Democrats have been searching for it. They've been searching for it by talking to rural voters and trying to convert Republican voters. I think that coalition that Democrats have just been stuck in a time warp trying to rebuild is just a figment of their imagination. Thinking that we can rebuild the Obama coalition, because I'm already hearing the similarities now. Oh, David Crowley and Obama. Hold on. Not quite. Not the same. Not the same. But the conditions of America weren't the same either. Donald Trump has so incredibly poisoned the well of the political water in which we drink. I don't know if an Obama coalition could ever form ever again. It's like that guy that was a high school football star, and he ran 3 touchdowns in one game against Central in 1974. And he's still talking about it today. Oh, man, I remember back in 74 when I ran 3 touchdowns against Central. And he's still hanging on to this relic of the past. I think Democrats are also stuck in trying to rebuild a coalition that, quite honestly, is a figment of our political imagination. It happened once, doesn't mean it can happen again. And so what happened? I believe that the Democrats became, over time, ineffective because they were chasing a coalition that was so strong. It got an African-American man who's part Kenyan and has a Muslim middle name elected president not once, but twice. Then you can have an entry point for Democratic Socialists, because while Democrats were blind and trying to put together a coalition that could only exist at that time for that man in that situation the country was in, they let a lot of opportunities slip through their fingers. Even Hakeem Jeffries is like a remnant or a throwback to the Obama coalition, like the way he talks and the way he carries himself, like those long pauses. That's theater. You know who else is a throwback to the Obama coalition? Listen very closely to Mayor Cavalier Johnson when he talks. He don't channel Obama, but I think that's also the influence of Barack Obama. Hey, look, I've known David Crowley for 25 years in Milwaukee. I'll tell you what, they got to do that long, drawn-out pause with some little quiet stutter. Let me tell you. Look at here, everyone. Look at me. No, down here, Cavalier Johnson. Yeah, here I am. I'll tell you something about David Crowley. I'll tell you what.
I noticed that during the video I shot during the David Crowley rally.
I actually saw that where the mayor introduced Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
Yeah. What did you think of the piece?
I didn't watch all of it, but what I saw was all right.
Oh, you didn't even watch the interviews or anything?
You know, when I spend time on the internet, it's usually self-serving, Xavier. I got to put together shows and find articles, and then I do the YouTube broadcast at night, but I watch a little piece of it. I rarely have time to sit down and watch 20 minutes of anything.
That's fine.
Well, you have it on your YouTube channel, so those that are interested can go to Political Voyeur?
Political Voyeur.
On YouTube. There you go. What other kind of voyeuristic stuff you got on there?
Just be all political stuff. I got some Tom Tiffany stuff coming up very soon.
Oh, all right. Anything about pegging?
Oh, no, this is all political.
Oh, okay. Got you. All right. Just making sure. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Spaces are limited. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkeprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because when you know you're fully protected, your home, your vehicle, and everything you've worked hard to build, you can actually enjoy it, and that's what it's all about. Not stressing the what ifs, but moving forward with confidence. American Family agents help you get the right coverage in place so you can focus on your family, your goals, and your dreams that you've earned. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly with American Family Insurance. You can get a quote or find an agent at amfam.com, and American Family Insurance is a proud sponsor of The Truth.
We like the breeze, float straight out of our lids. Them, they got booed by these Harvard Brooklyn kids. Us floor rush when they DJ booming classics. You dig the crew on the fattest hip-hop record.
Kelda ruined it. I wonder what that conversation is going to be like. Oh, poor Kelda. Shout out to her because I don't know if you guys were listening that day. I'll assume that you were. I cold called the candidates while I was on air just to see who would respond and who I could get to call into the radio program. I think it was a couple of Fridays ago. I didn't text all of them. I texted Mandela. I texted David. I texted Kelda and Francesca. I didn't text Joel because he had been on the program so recently that we didn't need to hear from him again. Mandela never got back to me. In fact, I haven't spoken a word to Mandela this entire election cycle. Fine with me. David didn't get back to me. Even though David's press person, Jonathan, contacted me pretty late Monday night trying to get David on my show yesterday for like a last minute push. And I originally said yes, but then I realized that management here, they say they want 24 hours notice before I have guests in studio. So I was like, I can't have them on because I'm not giving 24 hours notice. So
the hell.
What do you say, Xavier?
You know me, I'm a rule breaker, so to hell with the rules.
Yeah, there's rules that I'm absolutely going to break. So when I break the ones, I want them to count for something. That's just, and also, I thought that not only was it too little, too late, but that's been the whole motto of the campaign. Everything has been too little, too late. But like, shout out to procrastinators, you know what I mean? Because usually people are talking down to procrastinators. If you're running for governor, doing stuff at the last minute, that might be your saving grace. And I also was thinking, like, what am I going to say to David? What am I going to ask him that I haven't asked him already? He's been elected and reelected county executive. He served in the state legislature for a couple of terms. We know the dude. People's minds around here were already made up. And plus, what the hell was he going to say? So I just said, nah, I'm not going to break the rules and have David on. Maybe I probably should have. You know what I mean? Maybe I should have just snuck him in here just to see what he was going to say on election day, knowing that with hindsight being 2020. So I texted Mandela that day. I was cold calling or cold texting the candidates. Mandela didn't reply. David didn't reply. It's like when I reach out to them, you know, they get back to me at their leisure. But, Sherwin, can we come on? Can we come on the show? Yeah, when do you want to come on? We're at the front door right now. We're going to come in right now. Kelda responded. And so did Francesca. And we ended up doing brief phone interviews with both of them, which I find very ironic because the two of them, not only are they similar in politics, I think both of them saw an opportunity to take votes from the city of Milwaukee, which absolutely was Francesca's political strategy. And I'm sure that Kelda knew that, because if you see your number one top competitor, and Francesca Hong and Kelda Royce were competing after the same votes in their home county. And I know that Kelda had been following Francesca's campaign. There was a real cringy, awkward video that Kelda posted. It's an hour-long Facebook video where one of her staff is off camera and asking her questions about everything from data centers to reproductive health to raising wages and Badger Care for All. Okay? Some of you may have seen this video. It's so cringy. There's even a video that Kelda, she did like a TikTok where she's lip syncing Beyonce. I'm like, girl, come on, yo. Don't. Just trying to see whatever can stick to the wall. That's so desperate and sad. So there's this video of Kelda in the kitchen, like she really cooks, but whatever. So she's in the kitchen looking like a homemaker, making spaghetti, and then she's answering a bunch of questions about issues that she probably believes are important to voters. If you haven't seen the video, it's, unless she took it down, which I know she probably hasn't, go to Kelda Roy's Facebook page and go take a look at this video. It's an hour long. Don't watch the whole thing because you'll go nuts. You know how Franny Pants sometimes channels Rosie the Riveter? Like she wears like her jumpsuit and she'll have the bandana in her hair. And you might see a bunch of pictures of when Francesca Hong was working in the restaurant. The way she ties her hair back with that bandana, that's like her signature style, right? If I see that style, I'm thinking, oh, Franny Pants, because she does the bandana in the hair. Do you know that Kelda did the exact same thing in that video? And Kelda's also cooking. She's in the kitchen. It was almost like she was mimicking Francesca's style in order to court Francesca's voters. It was just so weird and awkward. Kelda's cooking in the kitchen. Francesca is the chef. Kelda had the bandana in her hair that Francesca often wears. Just a cringe-worthy video.
We should have her on and ask her about it.
We ain't having. I'm done talking to people. Talking to nobody else for 2 weeks. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 3.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Every day, Veolia and MMSD work together to ensure that Milwaukee's water system exceeds the high standard it's held to, protecting Lake Michigan and its rivers that run through our neighborhoods. That's 220 local employees who care about their jobs, running a system that's earned national recognition for excellent performance. But they don't do it alone. They're supported by locally owned small businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses. For 18 years, making our waterways cleaner all the time. Veolia, Milwaukee values, committed to its future.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is, my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Name and bright lights, you're a rock star. In some tin foil with a glass pipe is your guitar. Now yes it is. Little Angela suffers delusions from these high times.
Welcome to Hour 3 of Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Voting results are now in after, quote, human error caused a delay in Milwaukee Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. In an update in the early morning hours Wednesday, Milwaukee County Clerk George Christensen announced the voting results put David Crowley at a total of 65,131 votes, coming to 43.04%. Francesca Hong finished with 62,739 votes, coming to 41.46. When asked about the error that occurred Tuesday night, Christensen said, and I quote, "Oh, Georgie. Well, that happens, you know." No, it doesn't, George. Come on, George. You got to get your head out of your bottom. Well, that happens, you know. The city of Milwaukee is under a lot of scrutiny always, and essentially human error happens, and I think we should all just take note that these things happen, you know. And at the end of the day, what's important is that we're transparent, that the results are secure, and that we're open and honest, and that's what the city of Milwaukee elections director did. She came up here and she explained it, went back, got the results, brought them back to us, and we got everything right. And that's what's most important. Now, that's the statement from the Milwaukee County Clerk who oversees elections in the county. If I'm Francesca Hong's campaign, I want that whole thing investigated. Dude said, well, you know that happens. Here's what really took place. A flash drive was, I don't know, misplaced. Somebody didn't push a button. Somebody didn't transfer the votes over. 15,000 votes, mostly going to David Crowley from the 2nd and the 9th aldermanic districts were discovered, giving David Crowley essentially his margin in the county. Doesn't that sound odd? And so here's the thing. I'm not assuming that there's anything malicious because I know human beings. I know them very well. Human beings will do something dumb and stupid before they'll do something mean, nasty, and malicious. People make mistakes all the time. Make stupid mistakes. I make stupid mistakes. Want to know the biggest stupid mistake I make? Keep going back to the same damn ex-girlfriend. Can't help it. Stupid mistake. Keep doing it.
Is that real?
Mm-hmm. There's a reason why I go back.
Oh, jeez. There's plenty of other women with the good stuff.
Yeah, but you got to sift through. It's like going through a pile of garbage to find one uneaten cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? It's not in my age group and what I prefer. Like, I don't just, you know what I need? I need a woman smarter than me. Tough to find.
Oh, yeah.
I like a smarty pants.
You know the River West woman was a lot smarter than me.
River, is that the one with the dreadlock? The one dreadlock?
No. That's the one. That's the tatted one.
Here's the problem with women who live in River West. They'll have dirty feet.
Oh no, she had clean feet. Very
sure?
clean.
I'll bet you know.
Oh yeah, I know. Clean feet.
You a foot guy? You like feet?
I like a nice, well-kept foot with nice painted toenails, and yeah, I do like feet.
Okay, fair enough. No judgment. Everybody has their thing.
I don't want some corns and stuff like that.
No, you don't want that.
Dead skin.
It's just maybe it's the River Western women that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I think so.
Their feet are dirty because they're barefoot a lot because they're dirty. And they don't shave their armpits, which, hey, ladies, it's your body, your choice.
They're trying to normalize women hair.
That's cool. That's if you want to do that. That's
A little hair wouldn't hurt you, you know?
yeah, it does hurt.
It does?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
I don't know. I
But
like
this
a
is
little
just
hair.
a matter of personal preference. And here's the thing: there's going to be somebody out there. Oh my God, Sherwin, you're such a pig. Most of the women shave. Most women don't even like being hairy, because I just assume that when a woman doesn't shave, I'm just going to say legs and armpits, that she approaches me to shake my hand. Hey, I'm Stacy. Nice to meet you. You want to go grab a beer? As she pulls out a pack of Newport Kings, which is perfectly fine. It's just that's not my thing. But also, I don't want to be seen as a person that objectifies women for their bodies.
Yeah.
And if she has a full beard and hairy armpits and werewolf legs, then I promise you I will see her as a human being and I will treat her as such. I won't be lusting over her and undressing her with my eyeballs. I would do no such thing. I respect her as a human being.
Yes, respect all body types.
Some you react to a little differently. Every so often, and I got to get this under control. I'm a lot better than I used to be in my old age, but it's still in me. Every so often. It must be jam because jelly don't shake like that. Sometimes when I see, you know what I'm saying, a woman that has got the curves.
Oh, yeah.
And she got that jiggle. Like she still is moving even after she stops walking. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm,
Woo!
mhm.
Lord of mercy. And sometimes I see it. I'm like, oh, good Lord. I can't help it. It's just something, as a man, something happens. And that's why I just can't understand.
Yeah, voluptuous.
I can't understand the gays. Like why you would see men are disgusting. We are. We're not.
Well, a gay might see you coming and they're like, oh my God.
Oh, the gays love
Yeah,
me.
they're like, oh, that beard. He has the bald head.
Oh, they love me very much a lot.
Yes.
Hi, Thurwin. Hi. Oh, hey there, buddy. Come here. No. I'm walking this way. I'll walk with you. No. I'm cool. And then now I'm jogging. I'm moving a little faster. And now he's trotting. And now I'm sprinting. And then you don't want to get caught.
Oh, you wouldn't accept a drink from a friendly gay person that bought you one at a bar?
Damn it. Did I see them? Did I see the bartender make it? I don't know.
Yeah, you did.
There might be a set of expectations along with that. Oh, look who's calling. Quote, well, that happens, you know. The city of Milwaukee is just under a lot of scrutiny always, and essentially human error happens. This is what George Christensen said. He is the Milwaukee County Clerk who oversees elections and election results in Milwaukee County. Look, I get it. I know that the city of Milwaukee is under scrutiny, and unnecessary scrutiny from the Trump administration that believes that we cast a whole bunch of fake votes and we let a bunch of illegal people vote. So if you know that we're under that kind of scrutiny, like I wonder how do they pressure test our election system to account for things like this? Because moving forward, and here's the thing, it is to the benefit of every single person in the city of Milwaukee that we can have trust in our elections and that the system and the process has integrity. Because there can't even be any doubt. There can't even be even the slightest appearance of some kind of impropriety because we're under an incredible kind of microscope that calls into question our election results, because this is just an old weird stereotype that when Democrats win, it's because illegal people are voting or non-citizens are voting or people are voting twice, which we know is not true. And I can tell you, I got firsthand experience, especially when it comes to the African-American community. It's hard as hell to get us to vote once, let alone get us to vote twice. And so we are treated unfairly in that regard when there are high vote totals in the city of Milwaukee, which we know is a Democratic stronghold. There's always going to be some skepticism. And so that is even more reason to make sure that these kinds of errors don't happen, because every now and again, ladies and gentlemen, we will get elections that are very, very close to where everybody can raise an eyebrow. And because these systems do involve human beings and human beings can make errors, we've got to figure out a better way. And I'm willing and open and available to help however I can to make sure that our elections have integrity and that people aren't making these silly and stupid mistakes, because at some point it may cost somebody a very close election. If I'm the Francesca Hahn campaign and I read or see the statement made by George Christensen, the Milwaukee County clerk, I would want a little bit more transparency, because the number of votes that David Crowley won by statewide could be some kind of a clerical error in any one of 72 counties and 1,850 different municipalities. That's a lot of different cities. That's a whole bunch of different counties. And that's a whole bunch of people that might have been drunk, high, tired, uninterested, or just otherwise not careful. Let's talk to Al. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and congratulations to Mr. Crowley. I heard you bring up, that white people want to be pro-white. I think that's wonderful, but my question is why is it every time we come to y'all being pro-white or being pro-anything, y'all always want to put black people in your business? Black people are not even effing with y'all like that. And I just think it's a disease and trauma that y'all have got from your household and your upbringing. Black people have not went out their way or took time out their day to hang you from a tree, record raping your children and making videos and bragging about it. That is your white ass kin folks. We have not done anything to you, but you keep putting us in your business. Why you don't go take that up with your mammy and your grandpappy? It is not black people's fault that some of your white kin folks don't feel comfortable with their white children around your goddamn daddy. So if you are so pro-white, be pro-white. But why you got to put us in your business? We don't even F with you like that. And all your anger, hate, and trauma comes from your goddamn household. But if you're just that mad and that miserable, why not put a double-barrel shotgun in the roof of your mouth and pull the trigger and blow your goddamn brains out? And you can be all pro-white in peace. I'm just trying to understand why you keep putting us in your business. And Al from Sherman Park, I like how you try to pull that trick card on that that race card you try to pull. That's not gonna work with me, boo boo, because I don't praise nobody who look like Burt Reynolds. Okay, so you can take that to Lacoste when they're doing Tina in the bathroom. So don't try that with me. But my question is, why is it when it comes to being pro-white, you keep putting black people in your business? Why y'all don't do that with the Jews? They're not even real white, and they want to be white. Black people ain't walking around here wanting to be white. Yeah, we got a couple of coon-ass niggas that want to be like you, but that's not us. So I'm going to hang up and listen. Why do you keep putting us in your business when we never wanted to be in your business? I think that's kind of sick. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but it seems if a black person becomes successful and a white person doesn't share that same level of success, maybe, just maybe, the white person is wondering, well, it must have been affirmative action, or it must have been some kind of a minority quota, because how on earth, because I think the white culture knows full on well what it has done structurally and institutionally to marginalize black success. They don't like when we drive nice cars and live in big houses. They don't like it. They're okay if we have stuff, but just have less than us, I think, might be some of the prevailing wisdom. And also, maybe I'm blowing this whole thing out of proportion. Maybe white people aren't racist at all. Maybe they love us so very much they love us a lot. I don't. Who knows? You got to limit how much time you spend thinking about stuff like that, because it'll mess your brains up. There's a different kind of racism that exists in the North that I've become familiar with, obviously because I'm from here, but I can contrast it with the racism that exists in the South. In the South, I'm talking the former Confederacy. I'm talking about those deep red states that no matter what Donald Trump is doing, he's always going to have better than a 50% approval rating. I'm talking about that kind of South. Black and white culture in the South is very, very similar. You don't have the same kind of segregation. What will happen is you'll have a poor part of town and you'll have a wealthier part of town, and there will be black people and white people who live right next door to each other in both segments of that town, the poor part and the rich part. And culturally, very similar. They eat the same foods a lot of times. It's just that I think in the South, they don't really want black people to have anything. Just nothing, no kind of success. But also at the same time, they know that they're powerless to prevent it. In the North, I think that they're okay with black people being successful, but be successful over there. Go away or go stay in your own neighborhood and be successful. Don't come out here with all that. Don't come out to River Hills. Don't come out to Menominee Falls. Don't come out to Waukesha. No. Stay on the north side. Oh, you can have success on the north side. We just don't want to see it. We don't want it near us, I think is the difference in Midwestern racism. Curly, we do not know the full percentage of voter turnout yet because there are still some marginal amounts of ballots that need to be counted. My prediction is that we're probably somewhere 27 to 29% if I had to guess. Lady B says, I don't even know why I'm going to read this. First of all, I'm going to fully disclose to all of you that I don't know this lady from Adam. Or maybe I should say I don't know her from Eve. I don't know who this lady is. And she's a frequent listener of the program, this and on my YouTube channel, Hughes Views 414. Oh, and if you haven't subscribed to that, go ahead and do it. But she says, Sherwin is so toxic, LOL. And then her next thing she types is, that's why I don't want a relationship with him. Woman, I don't know you. I mean, you don't want a relationship with me. I don't want one with you. Well, it depends what you're talking about, though. Like, what you trying to do? I should know better. Don't involve yourself with listeners. Don't. What is this? Professor Hughes, there's plenty of baldy locks out there. What's baldy locks? Don't take the cornbread, Professor Hughes. What are you talking about? I got to take a commercial break because I don't know what's wrong with you people. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be back shortly.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a united way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
It's gonna be a friend. I ever fall in love again, a big friend. Yeah. I like them cool and kinda cocky, not too much to make it move. And try to lock me, try to take away the jewels. You cannot stop it, gotta understand the rules. I've been the type to wear the heart on my sleeve. Been the one to always choose the wrong play. Like the type to ever see me lonely. I keep my socks on during loving. In and out, baby, in and out.
Vote counting in Milwaukee was stalled after issues were discovered late Tuesday night, August 11th. Paulina Gutierrez, the executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, said audit logs from 5 machines were downloaded instead of the actual results. Gutierrez said the issue was caused by, quote, human error. Now, workers need to return those machines and make sure the results are downloaded properly. Gutierrez said approximately 15,000 ballots are yet to be counted. Wait a minute. That was at 12:13 a.m. Okay, so they've been counted already. Okay. Published at 4 p.m. August 11th, so yesterday afternoon while the polls were open. Workers at Milwaukee's Central Count worked to tally thousands of absentee ballots on Tuesday in Wisconsin's partisan primary election. Tallying began early, and the Milwaukee Election Commission says it was a busy but smooth day overall. Workers downloaded votes onto a flash drive that was taken to the Milwaukee County Courthouse to be securely uploaded. 100 workers were there on site all day, counting more than 26,000 absentee ballots that were returned. Paulina Gutierrez, the executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, says there was low turnout on Tuesday, especially in comparison to the August 2022 primary for governor. Across the board, we are seeing pretty low turnout in this election. Gutierrez said, I was looking at August 2022 election. That was about 26%. That total was 73,000 ballots. They also implemented a new system with bins so that once a ballot was counted, it did not move. Again, let's talk to Diana. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Good morning, Sherwin. I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm just calling on behalf of the voters that they, were repeatedly saying that we're undecided in the for the polls, and I was intentionally undecided because the campaign was so unstable. People dropping out, it just was unstable. And I wanted to make sure that by the time I voted, I was going to vote for somebody that was going to stay in the campaign. And I knew that they would be there and know where they are in the polls. And also I liked a couple of the candidates. I liked Joe Brennan. I was confident in him that he could do a good job. I felt like he worked very closely with Evers. And so he knows the process. And I'm sure that he would adopt some of Evers' processes. And so I felt good about him, except that no one knew him. He was well known in maybe the city circle, but as far as voters, he had a real, very poor campaign, and he just didn't put himself out there. So people didn't know who he was. And so I think that's what really hurt him. As far as Kelda Royce, I liked her. I thought she had some good ideas, but she focused a lot on kids. And so, but being a lawyer, she was, she works with the good, the bad, the ugly. She's seen it all. She's worked with all kinds of people. So I felt good about that. However, again, she was not very well known, and she ran a real, very poor campaign, and people didn't know her and didn't know what she was about. And so, but I feel like when she knew that she couldn't win, she should have dropped out so that giving those voters over to Hong or Crowley, because I think that the votes that she, took on, we lost that. So, and then, along with the people who voted early, and then those people dropped out. What I didn't want to do, was vote for Mandela Barnes or Crowley. But getting back to that, Francesca Hong, I did like her. I liked her a lot. I liked her ideas. However, I did not see them really happening. I didn't see, that's a new fight. A lot of things that she was looking for, aiming for, were new fights. And we are now in a climate where we're trying to stabilize our economy. We're trying to get people back on track. People lost jobs. People lost health insurance. We need to stay back on track with what we know we can work with, and not start new fights with ICE and new fights with vouchers and, whatnot. And so, but I did like her ideas. I wished her the best. Between her and Crowley, I didn't really care who won. But the reason why I didn't want Crowley or Barnes is because they've been in the game too long to not have enough successes. They've been working out here for a long time. They're well known, and so where's the progress? And so I was really afraid that we're going to have the same old, same as usual. But so I hope Crowley can, I hope he steps up this time.
Does he have your support moving into the general election in November?
He does. He does. So I hope I've done the right thing.
We'll know in 84 days. Thank you, Diana, for your very articulate take on being an undecided voter.
Okay. Well, thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too, Diana. That was complicated. She was all over the place. At least she could clearly articulate her thinking as to why she liked Francesca, said some positive things about Kelda. Kelda had a lackluster campaign, thought that Joel Brennan could have been potentially good as governor, but he never really got off the ground either. Fascinating stuff. The Madison area counties where Roy's candidacy potentially mattered most. So as we are doing an autopsy on what happened, and it's good to know what happened moving forward, where the Crowley campaign is going to have to move and going to have to pivot and going to have to embrace at least some of the ideas that move voters toward either Francesca Hong or Kelda Roy's. Thank Kelda for staying in the race, because Kelda Roy's supporters, their second choice was Francesca. And if just 5 in 100, just 5% of Kelda's supporters would have voted for Francesca, even though we know a third of them would have, that would have erased David Crowley's entire lead. So her staying in the race did tremendous benefit to strengthen David Crowley's vote totals. Look particularly at Dane County and surrounding South Central Wisconsin counties. Roy's political identity was strongly associated with Madison, and she was explicitly competing in the same progressive space that Hong occupied. Wisconsin Public Radio's pre-election reporting described precisely this problem. Quote, Roy's was progressive, but Hong occupied the most progressive lane in their home cities. If Roy's accumulated several thousand votes across Dane County and neighboring counties that otherwise might have gone to Hong, those voters became highly consequential when the statewide margin is only 3,200 votes. La Crosse in western Wisconsin, this is another area worth examining, because Hong's campaign needed to demonstrate that her progressive appeal extended beyond Madison. Crowley was campaigning as a candidate who could appeal across the state rather than simply to the Democratic base in Madison and Milwaukee. His campaign explicitly emphasized statewide electability against Republican Tom Tiffany. The question for Hong wasn't simply, can I win in Madison? It was, can I win enough Madison-type voters outside of Madison to compensate for Milwaukee? Ultimately, she did not. Brown and Outagamie counties and the Fox Valley. This is another important test of whether Hong could translate her progressive support into votes outside of Madison and Milwaukee, the Associated Press identified Brown and Outagamie counties as Democratic vote centers in northeastern Wisconsin. For Hong, these counties represented the broader question. Could she build a statewide progressive coalition, or was her support concentrated in Madison and other Democratic strongholds? That distinction became extremely important. So we're going to take a break, come back. We'll talk to Millicent on the other side and get her take on things. We're listening to the election autopsy on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, exclusively on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Are your finances low? Your mindset off track? Or are you ready to get into real estate? Tune into The Journey with Coach Erica every first and third Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon on 1017 The Truth. It's all about mindset, money, and real estate, helping you take the next step toward building a better future. That is The Journey with Coach Erica, first and third Saturdays from 11 a.m. to noon right here on 1017 The Truth. Are your finances low, people? You need money? How much money you need? I'm always curious of how much money people make. Here, let me ask this question. Y'all quit arguing in there. Y'all are arguing? I got a question. Hey, I'm talking to y'all. Nitty's in there too, right? I got a question for both y'all. How much money y'all make? And just in general. No, what's okay? Just like I need a number for what is fully funding public schools, I want how much you make. Nitty, how much your residuals from BOW? You be getting checks? You be getting royalties? Build Art, Wisconsin? Did it go platinum? All right. Stuff. Okay. That's radio host doing a little cussing. That's fine. That's all right. Let's talk to Millicent. Hey, Millicent, how much money do you make?
I don't make no money.
Yeah,
I'm
do.
poor.
No,
Poor
like hell, you poor.
Look, I'm on Social Security. I'm on a fixed income.
Millicent, you got a 401k, a 501k, a 601k?
Not a 501. No, I don't have that one. I got the 4, but not the 5 or 6.
So what are your thoughts on the election?
Listen.
Yes.
I'm glad. I was hoping Crowley would win. That's who I was hoping for. But what I don't want is for us now to get into this behavior of what is he going to do for us? What is he going to do for black people? How is he going to make black people better? If you get into that, Tom Tiffany is going to show you what's not going to make you better. So y'all better just rally around him and vote. Because if Tom Tiffany gets in there, oh, it's going to be another different kind of horse that we be riding. So I don't want it just to be like, oh, he going to get in office. What he going to do? He going to give us this, give us that. Regardless of what he does for you, he's going to do better for you than what Tom Tiffany would. And I think that's where we're at this point.
All right, Millicent. We'll be watching.
All right. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I have found that people who reduce their political understanding to what is he or she going to do for me, what am I going to get, what immediate gratification am I going to receive, what short-term benefit is going to be put into my hand, are people that probably do not vote because they do not have an understanding of how the system actually works. The only thing that we can do is help shape and create a favorable climate and environment where people can maximize their full potential. So it is not just fully funding education, whatever that means, but it's lowering prices, lowering costs, making it easier to get into entrepreneurship, and lowering and reducing any kind of institutional barriers to people's success, creating a climate that is favorable for more jobs and employers to want to come here, et cetera, et cetera. So if there are barriers, regardless of your community or your zip code, to your success, and right now one of the biggest barriers that we see is a lackluster education program, because that goes to the heart of the kind of workforce that we want and we need in Wisconsin. If we do not have educated people here, then the jobs may come, the companies may come, they're going to hire, but they're going to have to hire people who are from somewhere else, and that's problematic. So one of those core issues is, or one of those questions that you may ask or answer, what is the candidate going to do for me? Ask how they support education, whether it be K-12, whether it be early childhood education, or even maybe subsidizing to a higher degree if you want to go to trade and tech school, which I believe should be completely and totally free. And even reducing the cost of attending a university, because contrary to popular belief, all of the occupations that we need filled with the baby boomer generation removing themselves from the workforce can't just be filled by being a barber or an esthetician. We are going to actually need people with master's degrees and PhDs and Bachelor of Science degrees and Bachelor of Arts degrees. There's still a necessary part of our society that needs those kinds of degrees. Now, it's very expensive, but the best investment a human being can ever make, ever, And it's not real estate and the stocks and the bonds and the derivatives and the options. That's not the best investment you can. Really, the best investment you can make is on call sheet betting that David Crowley would win the race. I know somebody that did that, and they're stupid rich. They came in here smelling like money. You know how people's attitude change when they get money. They look at you funny. They look down their nose at you. I know what that feeling is like. People looking at me like I'm short. Like, I got money too. Got a little, I can go out to eat. I can take a woman on a date. I got a little money, but I ain't got as much money as some of y'all. I know somebody came in here today. They won big money last night. And they came in and they was like, what you looking at? Who was you? Do I know you? Excuse me. Open this door for me. Who are you? Are you the help? Who are you? I'm rich. That's what the person said. They said it to me. Sherwin who? Sherman? Is that your name? Sherman? I don't know you. I was like, Nitty, it's me. Who? Security. And then Nitty, security. Nitty got rich. He didn't tell me how much money he made, though. You don't need this little radio gig, Nitty. You don't need this. This is just something that you just do for fun. Just be coming here, just be chilling. You're on for a long time today.
He said he does need it.
No, yeah, he don't need this. Nitty he got so much money. He was like, I think I'll run for office. Nitty ran against Bob Bauman. I was right there with him. I was like, come on, Nitty, let's get it. He cracked me up yesterday. Nitty was like, I would have won my race if it wasn't raining on election day. I was like, word? I was like, come on, dog. You know, black people don't be. What, was I not supposed to say that? It's true. These people was like, I want to vote for Nitty, but I just got my hair done. He'll win. He gonna be all right. I love when black folks say that. They don't need my vote. They gonna be all right. No, that's when the blacks lose. Quote, Kelda Royce didn't have to win the election to potentially determine who won it. Kelda Royce received approximately 59,000 votes. Crowley won by approximately 3,200. So, only about 1 out of every 18 Kelda Royce voters would have had to have chose Hong instead for the outcome to change. We have polling evidence that says Kelda Royce voters actually lean toward Hong as their second choice. 34% Hong versus 29% for Crowley. That's why saying Kelda Royce may have been the difference is mathematically accurate. But we cannot say that Royce definitely lost or cost Hong the election. There is no counterfactual ballot. Some Royce voters would have voted Crowley, some would have voted Brennan, some may have voted for one of the other candidates who had withdrawn, some may not have voted at all. So the intellectually honest conclusion is, you ready for this? Royce didn't necessarily cost Hong the election, but she absolutely received enough votes to have changed the election, and the available polling suggests that her voters lean more toward Hong than Crowley. With a statewide margin of only about 3,200 votes, that makes Royce one of the most important unanswered questions of the entire election. Francesca Hong didn't lose because she had no constituency. She received essentially 40% of the Democratic vote. She lost because she couldn't consolidate the progressive vote enough to overcome Crowley's establishment coalition. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
So she's essentially the white Mandela Barnes.
She's the white Mandela.
Yeah, she is.
Just gets in the way, messing things up for others.
Yeah, so what probably should have happened was, but Kelda she's very confident, and it probably borders on arrogance. And also, Kelda is the senator. She is higher ranking than Francesca. And sometimes pride gets in the way and it can blind you, especially if you're really super ambitious. Kelda, who is the lawyer, who is the senator, who has been around Wisconsin politics since Francesca was probably 10 years old, was not going to bow out of a race and endorse and support her subordinate, even though that would have better solidified the progressive coalition. It would have. And imagine, in a perfect world, what happens is this. Francesca says, hey, Kelda, I'm going to win. I'm going to sew up the progressive coalition. You drop out of the race. You endorse me. And then I will give you a position in state government. I'll make you secretary of, transportation or Department of Administration. I don't know that Kelda would accept a position in a gubernatorial administration from her subordinate. There's a pride thing. And Kelda stayed in the race. Kelda polled very, very low. If anything, the Marquette University Law School poll, which needs to be completely discredited. I don't ever want to see another Marquette poll ever again. First of all, screw Marquette. I went to UW Milwaukee. We'll kick Marquette's ass. We'll fight you. A bunch of private school kids. Talk about I went to Marquette. Give me your lunch money, ho. No, Sherwin. Marquette kids be having $35,000 in cash for lunch.
Yeah.
Us UWM kids, we took box lunches. We had to fight each other for food. We were like rabid dogs. We used to rob and steal at UW Milwaukee. But we're highly educated. Just want to let you know. We're the street smart university. You know what I mean? Marquette University got one thing right. Kelda was in single digits, and she remained. I think she ended up getting, about 4% of the vote. But that 4% was very crucial. But she should have dropped out of the race, endorsed Francesca, because Francesca had momentum that Kelda could never get. Kelda's never been able to get that kind of momentum. Remember, she ran for governor in 2018 and finished in the exact same damn place, single digits. She also ran for Congress against Mark Pocan. Now, Mark Pocan is a homosexual gay fella, right? So when Kelda was running against Mark Pocan in that primary, Kelda all of a sudden became bisexual. Oh, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. We was like, Kelda, chill. Girl, you married and got 5 kids. Ain't nothing lesbian about you.
Mark Pocan's the OG.
Kelda kissed the girl and she liked it. She's like, I'm a lesbian now. I'm going to get the gay vote.
I wonder, will the Francesca people rebel against her now? Will she be, bad, no good no more in Madison?
Will the Francesca Hong supporters be angry at Kelda?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. They should be. So I got all this information here, and a lot of this is mathematical and blah, 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 blah. She cost, absolutely she did.
Well, let's make her a pariah now in Madison.
I'm not going to do that. I don't want to get involved in Madison politics. That's not my thing. I got a whole city of Milwaukee to worry about. Madison is going to do what Madison does. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Madison is weird. I go there when I have to, but it's never like on top of my list of places to go because I'm so familiar with that place and like the social climate of Madison. I don't like it. It's a fake veneer of progressivism and liberalism. It is shrouded in the most intense kind of racism you have absolutely ever seen. It's that white liberal kind of racism. Like, oh, I know better than you niggers do. Well, no. I don't mean it that way. Like that's the Madison liberal. No, I love niggers. No, oh my God, I love you guys so much. You guys dance so good. But here, policy-wise, I'm going to write the script for you, and then you guys just do what we say because we're Madison. Yuck. No thanks. And they don't even think there's anything wrong with that attitude. And they'll be, well, look at you niggers. I mean, no, look at how you live. Come live like us. We'll help you. Just vote for our political agenda so we can keep our lead over you. No thanks. So I don't get involved in it. Okay, I'm going to take a break, come back. I guess we'll do a Hughes Views 414 show tonight.
Called it Kelda Barnes.
We did some big numbers last night. We did some sexy-ass numbers last night. Let's do some sexy numbers tonight as well. If you're not subscribed to the Hughes Views 414 YouTube channel, come get you a little piece. Come get you a little taste. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Each blood pressure check, each clear answer, each caught it early moment is why we show up. From unexpected nights in the ER to therapy that helps you get your strength back,
step by step. We stand ready, quietly preparing, focused, and guided by one promise: to be fully devoted to you. Ascension, Wisconsin. Advanced care, devoted to you.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Aaron told me to stop pocket watching. I'm not watching anybody's pocket. I'm just curious as to how much money people make. I know the younger generations, they oftentimes share salary information, and you know what they have done? They have eliminated or certainly dramatically reduced pay disparities, because when people share how much their salaries are in the same job, employers sometimes have a lot of explaining to do. I know it was common among some of my younger colleagues. They was real open and honest about how much money they made. I don't be doing that because people will judge you. I mean, I wouldn't judge anybody if they told me how much money they made. In fact, the wealthier you are, contrary to popular belief, you're more likely to be a damn democratic socialist. It's the most unusual phenomenon ever. When the Democratic Socialists of America did their own internal survey of their members, and they released this information, Democratic Socialists are 85% white. The Republican Party is 79% white. So Democratic Socialists are actually whiter. Only 4% of Democratic Socialists work in blue-collar labor type of jobs. 96% of them absolutely do not. 35% of Democratic Socialists have at least a master's degree or higher. a third of them have master's degrees or higher, and another third of them make better than $100,000 a year. These are not poor people that even need Medicare for all. In fact, I think that their lives are already so on paper complete, their high levels of education, their higher levels of income, they might as well ask for more. They might as well ask for free health insurance. They might as well ask for reduced college tuition. They might as well. That's such an interesting phenomenon, but also in the grand scheme of things, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that last night's election results will prove this accurate. The African-American vote that is still largely Democratic does not do or agree with or even believe the principles of democratic socialism. And why is that? It is a Western European modality in majority white countries where majority white people use their money and their taxes to take care of one another, whether it be Bernie Sanders or whether it be Francesca Hong. They don't have the understanding because their party and their affiliation of being a democratic socialist is conversations that take place amongst white people without including the very specific sentiments of the black community where race is going to play a factor. Even if you have Medicare for all or Badger Care for all, they're still going to find a way to disqualify a large number of African Americans. It is a European economic and political modality. And I don't know about you, but I don't need any other kind of European influence tainting the lives of non-European people. Go back to Europe if you want. There ain't nobody stopping you from going to Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland. You're welcome to go there. They got plenty of room. And you can go skiing on snow or cocaine. Not my problem. Congratulations to Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. Now the real fight begins against the election-denying, ultra-conservative, MAGA acolyte Tom Tiffany, who did win his primary last night, and he is the Republican nominee for governor in the state of Wisconsin. So let's saddle up, roll out. Thank you for listening. The lunch break is up next.
For 18 years, Veolia has done more than treat Milwaukee's water. Our people have raised their families here, built careers here, and been a part of the community. Generations of workers, millions of dollars a year invested in local businesses, a workforce center built to